What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about all these rental car scammers. Now, I thought a lot of these guys would disappear because Turo's not making any money anymore, and so they have to go on to a new grift to make some sort of money. But now they're hitting everybody's messages up even harder, and I want to share some of these things they're doing and explain to you guys why it's actually illegal to rent out some cars if you get them third party. So some of you guys know that I buy and sell cars, and sometimes I post them on Facebook Marketplace for sale. Now, every time I do either an exotic car or a luxury car, I get a bunch of these stupid scammers messaging me like, "Hey, Lucky, do you want to make $30,000 a month passive? All you got to do is give me your $200,000 or $300,000 car and I'll rent it for you." And I always laugh and I tell these guys it's actually illegal, and they keep arguing with me telling it's not, that they have attorneys that know everything. And so I'm going to make a quick disclaimer. If you're renting out a car that is not in your rental car company's name and you don't have a license, it is 100% illegal. I don't care if your attorney says, well, I have a contract that says that my insurance is going to pay off your car if you get into an accident. So the reason why this never works is because you're actually negligent. You do not have an actual license or real rental car insurance policy, and so therefore it will not cover it. So that's just like me saying, hey, you know what? You're going to give me a contract that you're going to give your wife to me for free. You know, what is your wife going to say when I tell her, hey, look, you got to come with me because I have a legal contract that his attorney, wrote down and made sure it's ironclad? It doesn't work that way. And every time I get these idiots that message me, keep telling me this, I try to be friendly at first. I'm like, hey, look, Google my name, watch some of my videos. I explain how this all works. And every few weeks, I get more and more of these idiots messaging me in my Instagram and off of Facebook Marketplace. So I figured I'd do another video to set the record straight and talk about all these broker jokers. All right, so I had to bring out my toy collection to actually do a demonstration. Now, when you are an actual rental car company, you have to have an actual license in your name. So here in the state of Nevada, I have an LLC, and in that LLC is my state and city business license. And in that is my DMV license to actually rent cars. Could be called a short-term lease or lesser license. Whatever it is in your state, you need to have that. Not only that, you need to be 100% transparent to your insurance company that you are an actual rental car company. And the reason why I know the majority of these people that are renting out exotic cars are all full of crap and they don't own anything and they're all broker jokers is because there's only a handful of us that actually have grandfathered in policies. If one of you guys were today that want to start an exotic car rental company, you couldn't afford it because they would force you to own all of these cars cash outright, or they'd make you put up $1 million bond of your own cash against any claims for the first year. And after that, they'd probably charge you something crazy of, $3,000 to $5,000 per car per month. Now, when I had my rental car license on a regular car, a Nissan Altima, I was paying anywhere from $300 to $500 a month for rental car coverage. And remember, if you have this type of coverage, you can never call it in because you'll get kicked off your policy. So just think, it's that expensive just for a regular car and you can never use that insurance. When it came to some of the exotics and highlines, I was paying anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500 a month. And so that's with a 5-year, no problems, no history track record. Most of these guys now will never qualify for something like that. And this is how I know when I see all these guys on social media like, oh, I got a rental car business, I'm making all this money. They're all fake. They're all broker jokers. So that's the first part. And on top of that, some of these insurance companies require you to have maybe 2 to 3 to up to 20 cars in your company's name to start an actual policy. When I did mine, they underwrote 10 cars. So I actually had to go out and buy 10 smart cars to start my policy. I actually did 12, but that was one of the things that we did. We bought a bunch of cars just to get the policy started. And then after that, we started adding more cars onto there. And some of these ones don't allow you to actually have any type of financing. So I had to own all of those smart cars outright cash. Now, when I added the exotics, I already had a track record proving that I knew how to run my system. And so they only charged me basically startup fee, which is like $2 to $3 grand to put it on the actual policy, and then my monthly per diem. But that's why I keep telling these people it's absolutely 100% illegal for me to message you on Instagram and be like, hey guys, I want to take your car and rent it out. And this is another thing I make fun of all these broker jokers. There's people like me online, you can look at Houston too, also here in Vegas. We rent out cars. you can call me and offer me your car. Have you noticed that me or him will not take it? One, we don't want the headache. We don't want the liability. And on top of that, if we're going to make money, why am I going to split it with you? I'd rather just keep more of the lion's share for me. This is how I could tell that none of these guys are making money. So keep this in mind. If I call you and say, hey, you know what? You have this really cool sports car. I want to rent it from you, or I'm going to take it from you and rent it on my platform. And when I rent it out, I'm going to give you a percentage of the profit. This is what all these stupid scammers try to do. Now, what happens is this guy rents it out to everybody. Friends, family, whoever. Sometimes these brokers actually drive these cars. I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was in Miami. He actually got beat up and pulled out of a car because he was driving this dude's McLaren 720 and never basically told him that he was driving it himself until he found out a bunch of Instagram stories, put 5,000 miles on the car in like 3 months, and basically never sent him $1. So now the issue is, if I rent this out, if I'm a licensed actual rental car company, I give this to somebody. One, I'm going to make sure they have insurance. And two, if for some reason I have issue with that policy, my policy is going to cover it. Now, with these broker jokers, they have no insurance. They have no own policy. And on top of that, they're going to try to get you to use your own policy. One, that's illegal because your policy is with you and the insurance company. It's not for commercial use. The second thing is, if they give it to these people, even if they do have insurance, these rental car companies, these insurance companies are getting smart. If I crash this car and the insurance company's gonna be like, what happened? What's this car? Oh, it's a rental car. They're going to call up the rental car company and they're going to look and see the registration. Well, I see this is, Las Vegas Auto Rentals. Why is this under Mr. Bob Smith's name? Why is Bob Smith's car underneath Las Vegas Rentals? Oh, I got this car from some stranger off of Facebook and I'm renting it out for them. What the insurance company is going to do is, one, they're either going to pay the claim and just ignore the headaches, or what they're going to do is try to use this as a negotiating tactic to not pay the claim. And this is what they're doing now. So they're like, well, you know what? This wasn't a properly licensed, insured rental car, so we're not going to cover you. And they're going to fight. And they want to fight because hopefully, let's say the damage on this car is $30,000 because you smashed out the front end. They're going to negotiate with you and hopefully you take $5,000 to $10,000. To them, it's worth it to wait 3 or 4 months and to go to court to force them to actually pay down. But that's what these guys are doing. So now, if you crash this car, you hit somebody, unfortunately, you kill somebody, then you're really screwed because now you're getting away with negligence. And this is when the police, the FBI, the DMV all get involved. And this is currently what's been happening the last few months. These guys are going around and shutting down all these broker jokers out here renting out cars, exotic and regular cars, with no rental car license. Now, a lot of people tend to go through Turo. Now, Turo's okay. They have some stuff that does cover you, but you have to remember that depending on what state you're in, if you're renting out, an exotic car, like this guy that messaged me, he wanted a Lamborghini Huracan that's worth about $180,000 to $200,000. Here in the state of Nevada, it's only a $150,000 limit. So if they crash my car, what about the other $40,000 to $50,000 that I'm owed? That guy's not going to pay it. Turo's not going to pay it. So that means I'm going to lose out on all that money. And on top of that, when I get some of these idiots actually talking to me about how they run their program, with average Lamborghinis, we make $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And I always laugh. I'm like, how? Well, this is how much money we make. We rent it out 30 days, and we make $2,000 a month or $2,000 a rental. I'm like, no exotic car is ever rented for 30 days straight. Even here in Las Vegas, one of the busiest, most trendiest cities in the world, I still don't rent cars every single day, especially when it comes to high-end exotics. So I always laugh, where do you get your numbers from? And even if they give me some BS numbers like, oh, we do average on 20 rentals a month. Okay, well, let's just say that this particular, exotic I have costs me $5,000. So that's got to come off the get-go because that's a cost. That's not a percentage. Who pays that? Oh, well, you pay it. Okay. Well, you rented it out for, let's say, 90 days. You put up a bunch of miles. Now it's time for an oil change, maybe some new tires. Who's going to pay for that? Oh, it's my cost too? Okay. So you only take the profits, but if anything breaks or anything happens and all the liabilities on me, I just get a percentage. Oh, but we run everything for you. We have a system that you're buying into. Don't do it. Don't listen to these clowns. These guys have no idea what they're doing. They always have the same pictures. They're sitting in some car that they don't own, sitting here flashing a Rolex or some stupid watch, trying to talk about how rich they are and how they're making all this money renting out cars. If it's so good, ask people like myself. Rob Ferretti's another one. He's an OG of the thing. Even Houston will all tell you the same thing. Renting out exotic cars is a pain in the ass. It's not worth the headache or liability. For me to go out and spend $300,000 on a car and that cost me probably $5,000 to $6,000 a month with insurance and carrying costs, to rent it out to some, 21-year-old kid that's drunk, that's driving up and down Las Vegas Boulevard, and they're going to crash it and total it out, and then I don't know when I'm going to get another one. Like I said, it's just simply not worth it. So when I see these people, talking about how much money they're making and everything else, 99.99% of it is BS. You know what made me the most money when I had my rental car company? Yes, it was a lot of the cheap economy cars, because no matter what happens, whether the economy's good or bad, these cars sell. But it was my commercial vehicles, my U-Hauls, my commercial box trucks with the lift gates. Those things stay rented all the time because people used them to make money. These exotic cars, it's just flash. A lot of these guys do this because they can't afford the real thing. And then on top of that, so I want you guys to think about something. When I purchased all of my rental cars, I bought them with my own money and I financed them through my lines of credit. Now, if these guys, these broker jokers or Turo gurus, if they are so good, why do they need your car? Why do they need your money? Why not just go buy another car? The reason is because they know that their system they're running, they're going to fail and run out of money. In the rental car business, we cycle out every 2 years. I made this joke way back in the day in 2020 when I started my YouTube, and it's still true today. All the Turo gurus that started when I started, they're all gone because I knew that every 2 years you have to defleet. So all these cars rack up a bunch of miles. I got to get rid of these cars and get new ones. Now, if I'm upside down like these guys, if I buy this car for $300,000, I put zero down, I make the minimum payments, I rack up 30,000 miles, and a year and a half, I go to trade it in, and let's say it's worth $200,000. Now I'm upside down, maybe $80,000, $90,000. What am I going to do with this car? This car's not worth it. And they do the same thing with all their other cars. Because remember, instead of them paying down the principal, paying down the maintenance, doing the correct things to actually have a rental car business, they won't. And so this is why all these guys fail every 2 years. So I guarantee you every fake Turo guru or people hitting you up saying, give me your car, let me rent it, are broke and full of shit because they don't have anything. Now, they may be flashing on social media, oh, look at my cars, look at my watches, stuff like that. I promise you, in 6 months, they're going to be gone because they're going to burn some people. They're probably going to get their asses kicked by other people's cars because they're driving around not paying them. And they have no business sense. Like I said, if they were doing it right, they would use their own money and do their own financing. Why are other people going to give you their cars if you're such a Turo guru? But anyways, I'd love to know your opinions in the comment section below. What did you guys think of this? Have you actually had people message you when you put up a car for sale offering to rent it? Also, if you are a Turo renter, I'd love to hear from you guys. How is the platform in your area? Unfortunately, in Vegas, it is slowed down dramatically. It is way too oversaturated. There are way too many people with Lambos, Teslas, Mercedes, Jeep Wranglers. So now you can get a brand new Tesla for like $30 a day here on Turo because people are just giving them away. I remember C8 Corvettes were going for anywhere between $800 and $500. Now I see them up there for $60 to $100. So it's really dropped quite a bit how fast it's gotten. And the funny thing is, when I was renting out my smart cars, I was getting for these things back in the day, I think it was like $25. Still today, these things are still bringing $25. Now, like I said, all about costs and saving your money. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next video.